Welcome back to Brick Gaming YGO. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot of you guys subscribe and would really help out the channel. So hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, like this video. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit and kind of have a discussion about the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship for the year of 2019, aka this year's World Championship. It just ended very recently, only a few hours ago. And to pretty much no surprise, or at least no surprise in my opinion, Salamangreat won the World Championship for this year. And the reason I'm not surprised is number one, because of representation. So Salamangreat had the highest representation at the World Championship for this year. I believe from what I was seeing, there was only 3 Sky Striker players in the World Championship, and I believe 1 Pendulum player that was playing Zephyra, but the overwhelming amount of duelists were playing Salamangreat. I'm discussing mainly here the adults category. I'm not talking about the Dragon duels. I'm talking about the duels because I feel like that's where a lot of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Really matters. And so first off, as I mentioned, Salamangreat won, and they had an overwhelming representation. I also believe that it was pretty much the best deck for the World Championship ban list because the World Championship ban list pretty much neuters every single deck. Because we combine the OCG and TCG list and go with whichever cards hit the most on the list, plus some special cards that are also hit on the ban list. So really, a lot of the time, the actual ban list for the World Championships is extremely neutered, where there's maybe 1 or 2 good decks. And usually during each year, there's like 1 or 2 standout decks. I mean, every once in a while we'll have World Championship where there's a lot of really good options. I would say 2018 was a really good ban list for it, since we saw Ultra Guys, we saw Trickstar, we saw a whole bunch of different decks, all having different competitive play styles and being able to play around an equal level depending on who was piloting the deck. So this year, Salamangreat, in my opinion, just outright won. It was the only deck that I felt like could have won this event. First off, starting with the other decks. So we start with Pendulums as a deck. The decks really hit hard with the consistency. Chronograph is limited, Darkhorn is limited, Harmonizing is limited, as well as Pendulum Call being limited, which really just hurts the consistency of the deck. So all their consistency cards just go straight out the window. It's really hard to play a consistent build of the deck, and really hard to find a really good way to start up the engine. Then we also look at another deck that people thought might be potentially good, Sky Striker, is also hit on the OCG. So whatever cards aren't hit in TCG are hit on the OCG. For example, Engage is at 2, which isn't too bad. But then you also have Widowing at 2, which isn't too bad until you realize Multi-Rolls at 1, Kagari's at 1, following our ban list as well. So really that whole deck is also hit where it has very low consistency, and I feel like just isn't able to do enough versus other decks. And finally, when we go to Salads, we're following the past, not our most current ban list, but our previous ban list, plus the OCG's ban list, which means Circle is at 3, and the only card that's hit is Gazelle for that deck, which means that the deck's almost at full power, which makes it pretty much the best deck. Sure, if you have a really skilled player who really knows a deck inside and out, they might be able to beat Salamangreat, but it's an uphill battle. It's really hard to try to beat the deck in the World Championships based upon the ban list. And I feel like, just in my own personal opinion, Salamangreats were basically guaranteed to win. First off, not with just representation, not with being the least hit deck, but also, the other reason I feel like the deck did really well was that pretty much the best players, not saying that one player is better than another, but pretty much the best players at the World Championship were playing Salamangreats, which makes it even harder for other players to be better known or players at consistently top events to go up against Salamangreats and beat them. So I feel like just overall, Salamangreats were meant to win. So now I want to kind of talk about the connotation for the future. I feel like since Salamangreats is already hit on our ban list, for example with the TCG, I feel like in the TCG, they aren't going to get any more hit. The deck isn't doing anything in the TCG format as of right now. Maybe in the future, someone will figure out an insane build and the deck will become super relevant again, but I haven't seen the deck top locals. We still have amazing players for my locals at least, playing the deck. and not doing well with it. So, just my personal opinion, the deck just doesn't do enough now, and just it's way too inconsistent. Next, for the OCG's ban list is basically the same as the ban list for Worlds in respect to Salamangreats. And so I feel like for the OCG, they might hit Circle to 1. I feel like that might be the proper hit for them. I don't feel like anything else in Salamangreats is really worth hitting. I mean, the only thing that's really worth hitting for the deck is consistency, and the two most consistently used cards across the board is Gazelle and Circle, which add the most level of consistency to the deck, which helps out the deck the most. So for the OCG, I would say that the most likely scenario is Circle getting hit to 1. And I feel like that's going to be the only difference after the Worlds for the OCG and TCG. So I feel like the deck's already been neutered enough, per se, for the TCG. And I feel like just as of right now, the deck just isn't going to do too much after this World's ban list. And so I feel like the deck's pretty much seen its peak, seen its prime, and will continue to go on decline, at least in the TCG. And I feel like once the deck gets a new wave of support, which is super unlikely since the deck is so recent and has been doing so well, I feel like there isn't going to be any new support for the deck for at least a really long time. So I feel like the deck's seen its peak for at least a foreseeable future. And then I'm talking about the other decks, for example, with Sky Striker and Pendulum. I feel like, in my personal opinion, based upon the ban list right now, I feel like for Pendulums at least, if they do really well at upcoming events once the competitive season really starts up again, like winning or topping YCSs consistently, as well as regionals, I feel like Pendulums could definitely get a hit on the ban list. And I feel like the most likely card that would get hit will probably not be Harmonizing or Pendulum Call, because those two cards aren't played in every single list, and they're not the best cards in the deck in my opinion. I feel like the most likely hits will be probably Chronograph and Dark Worm will be the most likely hits, just because Dragon Dart will run around, and Dark Worm is pretty much the way that you get into those consistently every single game, and Chronograph is an amazing star card. So I feel like those two cards will probably get hit if the deck sees competitive play and does top events, etc. And then also, for Sky Strikers, even though they didn't really see very much competitive play at Worlds, I feel like for the foreseeable future with that deck, it's also already seen its prime. I feel like it's going to be a good, relevant deck, but it's not going to be amazing. It's not going to be the best deck in the game. I think if you find if the right pilot or right player is using it, they'll do amazing with the deck. But if you're not amazing with the deck already and you haven't been playing them for at least probably a few months or more, and have been at least through like 2 or 3 ban lists with the deck, then in my personal opinion, it's just not worth picking up. And that's why I feel like Sky Strikers will also be on decline in amount of players playing it. So that's just my personal thoughts after Worlds. I feel like that's pretty accurate for the foreseeable future. If you guys agree with me, leave a like. If you guys have any dissenting views or disagree, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and give me your guys' opinions. I would love to hear. So like, comment, and subscribe. Brick Gaming YGO signing out. See you guys in the next video.